One more waging the same basic conflict is the canonization. Canonization is the process by which somebody is made a saint, like his famous forebear, Sir Thomas More, who, for defending the Catholic Church against Henry VIII's efforts, or successful effort to join the Protestant Revolution and start a separate church, Thomas More was made a saint. He was elevated above common humanity and held up as an inspiration for other believers. So that as a title carries some weight. The canonization. It's serious. That is a weighty topic. But then you get into it, and again, having set that expectation, such an august frame of reference, of course it's going to wrench you down in a different direction. For God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love, or chide my palsy or my gout, my 5 gray hairs, or ruin fortune flout. With wealth your state, your mind with arts improve. Take you a course, get you a place. Observe his honor or his grace, or the king's royale or his stamped face. Contemplate what you will approve, so you will let me love. Alas, alas, who's injured by my love? What merchant ships have my sighs drowned? Who says my tears have overflowed this ground? And did my colds when did my colds a forward spring remove? When did the heat of my veins fill? Add one man to the plaguey bill? Soldiers find wars, the lawyers find out still, litigious men which quarrels move, though she and I do love. Call us what you will, we are made such by love. Call her one, me another fly, where tapers too at our own cost die. And we in us find the eagle and the dove, the phoenix riddle hath more wit by us. We two being one are it, so to one neutral thing both sexes fit. We die and rise the same, and prove mysterious by this love. We can die by it, if not live by love. And if unfit for tombs and hearse our legend be, it will be fit for verse. And no piece of chronicle we prove will build in sonnets pretty rooms. As well a well-wrought urn becomes the greatest ashes as half-acre tombs. And by these hymns all shall approve us canonized for love. And thus invoke us, you whom reverend love made one another's hermitage, you to whom love was peace, that now is rage, who did the whole world's soul contract and drove into the glasses of your eyes, so made such mirrors and such spies that they did all to you epitomize. Countries, towns, courts, beg from above a pattern of your love. A little erratic, a little confusing. I understand that. You're not sure what is going on there. It's not necessarily about the process by which an individual is made a saint. But it is another dramatic monologue. There is another speaker who's having a kind of argument. This time, for a change, not an argument to get a young lady out of her clothing. For God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love. Maybe he's talking to a friend. A friend who's coming to him and saying, hey, buddy, your love life, it's screwing things up. What are you doing? Is this really worth it? And again, biography is always a trap, but in the back of your head, you got to remember, Donne had a lot of friends who saw what a disastrous mistake from a professional standpoint that his marriage was. And maybe some of them went to him and said, hey, just go for the annulment, make nice with the powers that be, your job prospects will come back, and we can all go about our business. Prudent advice. And it meets with this rather frustrated, intemperate response. For God's sake, hold your tongue. Shut up, pal. Let me love. Or chide my palsy or my gout, my 5 gray hairs or ruined fortune flout. He's admitting, I got all these problems. 5 gray hairs. He's still a relatively young man right then. And he's looking ahead, however, at those 5 gray hairs and thinking, yeah, maybe that's coming on sooner than expected. A time when I am useless. With wealth your state, your mind with arts improve. Take you a course, get you a place. Good advice that he seems to be mocking here. Good advice from a friend. Again, professional advice. With wealth your state, your mind with arts improve. Yeah, you're going to be heartbroken for a little while. You're going to be lonely. Yeah, okay. You're not going to have ready access to the nookie. But you can keep busy. You can go out, focus on your job, make some money, focus on your mind, develop that a little bit. Things will work out. Take you a course, get you a place. Take you a course, maybe a course in great works of world literature. Get you a place, get yourself a job, you know? This thing with this girl, she's bad for your resume. Shuck that off and, things will get moving along. Observe his honor or his grace or the king's royale or his stamped face. Contemplate. Contemplate all that is royal. Focus on all that is worldly. The outer symbols of the material world. The king's royale, money, his stamped face. The king's face gets stamped on money or anything valuable generally. Focus on your worldly gains. And that will be a good distraction. And here the speaker is saying, no. And he starts to wheedle around a little bit. Alas, alas, who's injured by my love? What merchant ships have my sighs drowned? And says my tears have overflowed his ground? When did my colds a forward spring remove? When did the heats which my veins fill add one man to the plaguey bill? These are exaggerations, hyperboles, the kind of cliches that Shakespeare mocks in Sonnet 130 once again. What merchant ships have my sighs drowned? Oh, I've loved her so much. Oh, I'm so much in love. And that exhalation is so momentous. It rears up the ocean and smashes fleets. Who says my tears have overflowed the ground? They're drowning in my tears because I'm so sad by being separated from my love. It's him making fun of bad, or at this point, stale metaphors in poetry. The Petrarchan model is all over this, and he's just poking some fun at it. And here is an example of the coterie audience again, where all of his friends and he have probably been joking about writing like that and saying, oh God, can you believe what a cliche this is? Oh my God, this is just terrible. It's like going to the movies for a horror movie and just laughing your ass off with your friends. You go to see bad movies in public, because you can sit there and rip them apart. And that's what he's doing here. He is just ripping it apart. And notice also, since he is ringing that bell of poetic form and pointing out all of these stale metaphors, take a look at how choppy this poem is. There's very little flow to this. Alas, alas, who's injured by my love? What merchant ships have my sighs drowned? Who says my tears have overflowed his ground? That is very smooth, but he is mocking it. Compare that to that earlier passage. With wealth your state, your mind with arts improve. With wealth improve your state, with arts improve your mind, but he jumbles the words around in a weird order so that it's just kind of jangly, and by the time you get to the end of it, you have to go back to the beginning and reread it. Take you a course, get you a place, observe his honor or his grace. Suddenly very staccato. Or the king's royale or his stamped face, contemplate. Again, contemplate is the verb in that. You're supposed to contemplate the king's royale or his stamped face, but you don't know that until you get to the verb. And here the verb is on the next line. It's called an enjambment, where you would think that an entire thought stretches across a single line and gets completed at the end of that line. And it's very satisfying when that happens. But here, no. It just sort of draggles over to the next line. That ruggedness, that raggedness, that lack of smoothness is entirely intentional, because it's what the smooth poetics of the Italian poetry model have devolved into. If he wants to break away from all of those pretty phrases that just sort of lead the ear along and dingy 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 dingy, that's fine, but he wants to get at something a little bit more complicated. He doesn't want to lull you into a kind of sweet sleep. He wants to jar you out of that rut. And so he's doing it with those weird conceits, the mismatched images, the mismatched themes, and he's also doing it formally in the weird meters that he is employing, the breaks from meter that he is employing, and the way in which the words simply fall in syntax, where you can never really figure out what he is saying until you have read it like 3 or 4 times. Which again is sort of a coterie thing, because if he is writing for people of his station and his education, he can rely on them being smart enough to pick up on these things and read with that kind of attention and alertness. He's not necessarily writing for the groundlings like Shakespeare. Call us what you will, we are made such by love. Call her one, me another, fly. Call her one, me another, fly. Again, that word at the end, fly. One fly, call her one fly, me another. Would have been clearer, but he's going to twist that around to make it just a little bit more jangly. We're tapers too. A taper is a candle. And of course, flies, candles. Here, a fly you can think of as maybe more of a moth. And what do you see moths doing when they see light in the dark? Batting up against it. And if it's a candle, that light kills them. So we're both flies. We're both also tapers, candles. So we are attracted to the flame, and we are the flame that kills one another. And there's no distinction between them because they are both both. And at our own cost die, and we in us find the eagle and dove, the phoenix riddle hath more wit by us. We two being one are it. So to one neutral thing both sexes fit. We die and rise the same and prove mysterious by this love. A lot going on there, but it starts with that image of the two of them dying in fire, dying in flame, the flame perhaps of passion. A very conventional Petrarchan image, cliche, but one that is being turned around to fresh use here. And we in us find the eagle and dove. The eagle is a sign of some masculinity. The dove is a sign of some femininity. But the phoenix is the bird that rises, the mythical bird that rises from ashes. So out of the fire, something new is born. This is starting to sound familiar. So to one neutral thing, both sexes fit. They are beyond their physicality at this point. We die and rise the same. We die and rise the same. There he's playing on a couple of things. Obviously, if you are going to die in a fire and then be reborn, that is a kind of rising. And in fact, if a fly or a moth were to jump into a flame of a candle, you would see the smoke rising. But also to die in a conventional Petrarchan Renaissance cliche, dying is a euphemism for orgasm. And you die, and then you rise again. And you can think of that rising in a number of different ways. But he is playing on all of them. We die and rise the same and prove mysterious by this love. Mysterious. That's a curious word. Mysterious by this love. Well, we die and rise. I'm going through all of human history, and I can't think of one instance of any figure who has ever died and risen. Who could that be? I don't know. I'm going to Google that someday. We die and rise the same and prove mysterious by this love. If the poetic speaker here is analogizing himself and his lady love to Christ, what does that make the two of them? Well, saints. And so we have the title, the Canonization. These two have been rendered mysterious by their love. Through their love, they have immolated themselves, burned up in fire, and are now rising to new levels. They are saints. Their physical love has ennobled them to such a degree that they are now semi-divine. Instead of their love being scandalous, as we are told in the beginning, in that opening stanza, instead of their love being just an annoying little distraction seen from a pragmatic, worldly perspective, their love is now something quite special. We can die by it, if not live by love. Again, die. And if unfit for tombs and hearse our legend be, it will be fit for verse. Explicitly writing about poetry, making you realize, hey, I'm reading a poem. He is pulling all this stuff out of thin air and twisting it around right in front of me in a poem. So that objectifies everything even further and says, well, yeah, oh, okay, yeah, this isn't real, this is a poem. Well, if unfit for tombs and hearse, our legend be, it will be fit for verse. He's already thinking of it as a legend, their story, their love as a legend, something people tell, a story, a narrative, a work of art, perhaps even a poem. It will be fit for verse. And if no piece of chronicle we prove, chronicle is a word for history, essentially. If history does not record us, we'll build in sonnets pretty rooms. So if other people won't go and write a nice big fat history about us, telling the story of our love and how we were special because of it, then we will do it ourselves by writing poems. And share those poems with the world, who can then access our love through them. And in this, he is again showing off just a little bit because, of course, he's promising to write poems, but he's doing so by writing a poem, and you are, in fact, reading it several hundred years after he died, so he has achieved a kind of immortality, or at least an everlasting life, by writing this poem. Another little pun in there that is hard to spot, a bilingual pun. We'll build in sonnets pretty rooms. Pretty rooms. The idea of building it, okay. A sonnet is something you're going to make. A room is a part of a building. And a room in Italian is known as a stanza. So a part of a poem is a part of a building, and both are called a stanza. And he is erecting this one brick at a time as a monument to this divine love. As well, a well-wrought urn becomes the greatest ashes as half-acre tombs, and by these hymns all shall approve us canonized for love. They are now officially saints. But canonized also means you are officially saints by being adopted into the church. Institutionalized in a way. Made official, which seems to run counter to the rugged independence that he's exercising in the earlier stanza, where he's saying, I don't care about what everybody else says. Our love is special, and I know it, and she knows it, and we're the only ones that matter. Now he is retreating to canonized, which means we're big and we're important and we're part of the man, the institution, which is already another tension in the poem. And thus invoke us, which is an imperative, a command. So this is the poetic speaker who started talking to his friends saying, for God's sake, hold your tongue. Now he's issuing an order to invoke me and my love. Pray to us, because we are now semi-divine. We are canonized. And thus invoke us, you whom reverend love made one's hermitage, you to whom love was peace, that now is rage, who did the whole world's soul contract and drove into the glasses of your eyes, so made such mirrors and such spies that they did all you to you epitomize. Countries, towns, courts, beg from above a pattern of your love. He is doing everything he possibly can to not make sense here. He is really going out of his way to be difficult to understand. Parse that out just a little bit. You whom reverend love make one another's hermitage. So this is supposedly the poet's friend is supposed to pray to the poet and his girlfriend, saying, "You, whom reverend love made one another's hermitage." A hermitage is a place where believers can hide away to practice worship, someplace secluded. You who are secluded in your own love, your own reverend love. Reverend meaning you can worship that love. You to whom love was peace that now is rage. Peace and rage, well, yeah, that is human love. That is earthly love. The highs and the lows. Oh God, she looked at me, and oh God, she didn't talk to me. Those Prozac needing moments. That is the experience of love. But that worldly love itself has been transformed into something divine. Or at least the divine element of it has been hitched to that physical high and low. It's not clear how. Who did the whole world's soul contract. You take the entire world and squeeze it into some narrow, manageable, precious ball, and drove into the glasses of your eyes. Take the whole world and you drive it into the glasses of your eyes. And here, the glass can mean a mirror that reflects back out whatever is shown into it, or a window, something that you can see through. The line is unclear. We don't know which one that is. Do you see the entire world in somebody's eyes, or do you see through the entire world to someone's eyes, as if the whole world doesn't matter and it's just you? Or the whole world is encapsulated within you. It's uncertain. But look at the distance between that verb, which is drove, to its object, which is countries, towns, courts. That is unbreachable in terms of coherence. Drove into the glasses of your eyes, parentheses, so made such mirrors and such spies that they did all to you epitomize, close parentheses, and then the object, countries, towns, courts. Donne is stretching the limits of syntax and grammar in this. He is stretching the limits of what a reader can plausibly follow. He is stretching the limits of what a well-toned and well-tuned sonnet can contain. He is edging his way through all those lines, always pushing up against them, clacking up against them, trying to find the limits for what poetry can do, which points out all the more that it ultimately can't do. It can't convey a full message because the aporia, the absences packed between the words, are always more impactful and meaningful than the words themselves. Because ultimately, you can express the unexpressible. You cannot express the meaning of life, the meaning of God, the relation of God to man, the relation of human to animal, the positioning of human beings within a chaotic universe is unknown and unexpressible. So words themselves can't do it. So you get these spaces, liminal spaces between the words, between the meanings, where readers are sucked in because nature abhors a vacuum. They are sucked into those spaces to try desperately, ultimately futilely, probably, to make sense of it all. But in the act of trying to make sense of it all, you at least have agency. You at least have a glimpse of what an active life on earth means, and a purpose and a goal, an attainable goal of reaching the divine. That's where Donne actually lives as an artist.